Okay, welcome everyone to another NORA webinar, but today it's actually a dScience presentation. So we learn more about the brand new Center dScience at University of Oslo. It is an interdisciplinary center that consolidates capabilities within computational and data science. The center will contribute to better data understanding, increase data-driven knowledge, and also to develop artificial intelligence. We will have two presentations today, and Morten here will start with the first presentation, and then it will be followed by a panel debate. So we have here Morten, the center manager, professor, and also a board member of NORA, Morten. And I will just say welcome, and please give us an introduction and let us know more about what dScience is about.
Thank you very much, Klaus. I will open my presentation here and say a few words about dScience in general. And after me, Gard Thomassen will talk a little bit about how we organize digital resources. dScience has got the name dScience, Center of Computational and Data Science, and what we have done over the years is we are planning this. The first ideas came up around 10 years ago. So there has been a lot of processes going on, and it was linked into the strategy of the University of Oslo about 3-4 years ago. And finally, this year, we made dScience a reality through the establishment in about 2.5 months ago. And what are dScience and what are we going to do? It's, of course, we can look at it in many different ways. One way is that we have two science directions. We have computational science, which includes data science, and we have data science, which includes computational sciences. These two definitions, very overall, they are now in dScience joined into one total understanding of what this is. And I'm not going into detail on what this is, but data science is about methods, algorithms, and systems to organize, refine, and extract knowledge from data. That needs computational science, where computational science is more understanding complex phenomena and problems, which again includes data science. Based on the UIO strategy, we are also obliged to go into the sustainability goals. And one of the things we have to report on every year is how do we address different parts of these goals. This is easy to say, but fairly difficult to do. However, this is one of the important tasks that I, as a center leader, has every year to say, how can we address these types of challenges that is behind these goals developed by the UN. To look at it another way, we are working from data that comes from a huge variety of sources. These data are generally lifted into some suitable environment, and based on the data that is become information to some extent, analysis and visualization is done in order to create insight. Around this, there are many open questions. How the art of understanding data, we have to represent knowledge, methods and algorithms, in particular in machine learning. And of course, we need structures and systems in order to handle the data. On top of that, the work is done because we want to do new scientific discoveries. We want to be a part of creating systems for decision-making. Artificial intelligence is among that. And also, of course, be value creations for the society in general. So this is, to a certain extent, this is dScience at a glance. One of the main reasons for establishing dScience is building bridges. And here, this is illustrated in two directions. Bridges between scientific activities at the University of Oslo And I put up informatics and mathematics as core because the largest activities in dScience is within at the Department of Informatics and at the Department of Mathematics. However, machine learning appears everywhere. So all other departments at the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences are involved, and also the medical faculty. And there's a huge interest in social sciences and humanities, and also in law. So over time, we see that dScience will cover most faculties and museums both museums at the University of Oslo. In addition to that, we had a long discussion on applications areas, and in order to apply these types of methods, we need also domain competence. So we have picked health and medicine, ocean and space, energy and climate, mobility and smart environment, and bank and finance as the priority areas. These are very wide, but in order to deliver in these areas, we need to attract people with domain competence in order to meet the requirements that is needed, and also to form the basic research done in the research community at the University of Oslo. So building these bridges is important for us. Well, we have set up we have used it 2.5 months now to set up the organization. The dScience board has had its first board meeting last week. The dScience Community Forum and the dScience Council will be announced next week. There has been decided who is going to sit there and the mandate, but we are a little bit early, so I won't say too much about that. We have organized dScience in 3 activities: community services that I will talk about a little bit more, digital resources that Gard will talk about in a few minutes, and also the dScience program, one that we have launched and one that we plan to launch. So first, a little bit about community services. That consists of 3 things: actually creating physical co-working spaces. The first physical space will be in Georg Morgenstjerne's house at Blindern. We will open in April, May, if we are allowed to do that, but these facilities are now under construction. The second one, since the first one will probably be too small, will most likely be in the Oslo Science Park. There will be events, seminars and workshops. The dScience Community Forum will work on that. And we will also continue the Data Science Day that has been organized by Professor Ingrid at the Math Department for the last 4 years. That will be also reorganized and also now driven by dScience in the future. And that will take place on the 28th of October this year. That day will also be the official opening of dScience. And it's also network activities. We are a part of Oslo Science City, one of the innovation districts in Oslo. A huge activity is going on at the moment together with the partners in this district in Oslo. We are also a part of NORA, and NORA is important for us. And we also want to be a strong contributor to the NORA network. We have activities already with Digital Norway, which is a consortium with large Norwegian companies and also units from public sector. And we are also now from yesterday a part of the activity in the Guild, a network of European universities. And dScience is now UIO's representative into a program development committee on data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And I'm the person who is going to sit in. The first meeting will be in May. Community services is for a broad audience, and all of these things are open for external participation. But if you look at the number of people at the university involved right now, it is between 40 and 45 research groups across the University of Oslo. Most of these groups are at the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences, but there are also groups at other faculties and museums. As we speak, 311 active PhD postdocs has signed up for the community service program. On the 1st of March, we had deadline for 16 PhDs in computational sciences, and yesterday or 2 days ago, we also sent out the call for 8 PhD positions in machine learning. And if there are any possible PhD candidates here, we are announcing 22 new positions around Christmas time with hiring in August 2022. So this is what dScience is set up for when it comes to community services. This training in computational science, as I mentioned, had deadline for applications 2 weeks ago. We got 400 applicants to the first 16 positions. As an example, that the interest for this is quite large. These are the 8 vacant positions. You can find them at the dScience in the dScience homepage in machine learning. And Ingrid, which is a part of the panel, she is supervising one of supervision in one of these projects of machine learning and semantic technologies. Arnoldo Frigessi, who is always here, he is, although we haven't announced the full dScience Council yet, Arnoldo Frigessi is a part of the dScience Council that I also mentioned. So the programs, we have started the machine learning program. This program has 3 pillars: machine learning for applications in industry and public sector, foundations of machine learning, and machine learning for progress in science. I will cannot mention everyone, but very important foundation for this center is the BigInsight Center for Research-Driven Innovation, headed by Arnoldo Frigessi. We also have a new center together with the University of Tromsø, Visual Intelligence, which is closely linked to this program, and we are also having new SFF proposals applied to the Research Council. So this is the program. It was launched just after in January, and we are starting to collecting these issues around this program. The other program, which is not launched yet, but it is being planned, is coming out of another Center for Research-Driven Innovation. It's called the SIRIUS Center, and we also has an SFF proposal there. And this is built approximately on the same way: digital twins for applications in industry and public sector, foundations of digital twins, and also digital twins for progress in science. And here is a couple of examples. At the SIRIUS Center, digital twins for facility management has been one of the major projects. When we go to the foundation area in logics, we believe that the future will move from today's more monolithic digital twins solutions to compositions of distributed and loosely connected systems of such twins. And one huge project across departments and also institutions, because here is also the Met Office and the Norwegian Marine Institute in Bergen involved, is a digital twin of the Oslo fjord to understand the ecological dynamics together with the physical dynamics. So this is an interesting typical project that also involves machine learning. To end my talk, I will say a couple of words about education. dScience is a research center across departments, and it is the department at the university is responsible for education. However, we have initiated a collaboration with Digital Norway, supported by Computational Norge, where we develop a so-called micro program, data science for the green shift, and including micro courses. And we have 4 micro courses under construction, 2 at the Department of Informatics and 2 at the Department of Mathematics. And it's the blue on top here. One overview course from data to insight, and also 2 machine learning courses, one on the uncertainty side and one directed towards decision problems, including artificial intelligence and digital twins. And of course, there exists a lot of ideas below that for other courses. And these micro courses has a size about 1/4 of a normal course at the university. So that we have defined that as a micro size approximately. Then I will hand over to Gard, who is going to talk about digital resources. He is responsible for that at the USIT, at our central center, but also in dScience. Important for us here is to understand what this is. And of course, there is some huge systems, scalable environments in the bottom, as we call it, but also how we can develop applications, like things to support the researchers. So I will stop sharing here, and because more details about this will be covered by Gard in the next presentation. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Morten, for a very interesting presentation. And everyone, please use the Q&A for questions. We will have a panel debate later on, and then Morten and Gard and the other in the panel can answer questions. So please use the Q&A button. So next presentation is from Gard Thomassen. He is an assistant director at USIT and head of digital resources at dScience. He will give an introduction to their plans for fair data and engineering support. So please, Gard, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. I think that basically covers me. I won't spend too much time on that, but what we'll discuss now is the toolbox, which is available now for this data science center. And I guess there are two important take-home messages, and one is what is actually available. And when I'm saying available, it's also in a broad sense. So quite a lot of almost any of these services will be available for consumption from anywhere in the world. And then the second one is how do we do this, and if there's anything to learn from that. So I guess we can agree on a few things around data in such a setting. So we need to collect data or get data from somewhere, and we need to move it to a reasonable place, either for security efforts or to compute on the data. And then in many cases, we need to curate the data, as there might be uncertainties or noise or whatever in the data, and especially if we want to make the data fair and understandable for others. And then we need to save the data quality information so that we can reuse also this, because if we don't know anything about the quality of the data, basically we can't really trust it. And then, of course, data management. When you get into hundreds of millions of files and several petabytes of data, it's quite important. Databases, sharing the data, that's almost a requirement these days to get funded. And if I'm going to use other people's data, I need to explore and figure out, does the data I'm interested in exist? How do I find it? Who do I contact? Or can I just download it? And then it also needs to be flexible. And everyone is talking about large amount of storage. And then I put two things in bold here, because competence, many of these things you can buy, but I'm postulating that if you just buy a service somewhere in the cloud, it's very hard to build the competence that you need to provide your users service, and basically vice versa. And then it needs to be at an affordable price for the researchers. So when it comes to analysis of data, it's quite a bit of the same. We need sufficient compute power, and which means that if there's a small problem, we should solve it locally. If there's a bigger problem, we should solve it nationally. If there's an enormous problem, we should solve it internationally. And one use case here, for example, is that some biology people need FPGAs to accelerate human genome research, and then we have made that happen. So then it's into collaboration. So we all know that this multi-center, cross-border collaborations is present, it's everywhere, and we need to do that all the time. Even to get the funding, it's kind of a requirement. So that's a basic layer for all our services. Anyone should use it from anywhere, from any device. Maybe not nice to use the HPC system from your cell phone, but still That's the basic idea. And then there are a few other things that's required for analysis, which I guess we can all agree on, and mark the word required level of security, meaning that any level of security kind of puts on a straitjacket, and we never want that jacket to be tighter than it really needs to be. And the same things, competence is quite important here as well, and the price performance. So quite big challenges for IT department to serve, because all researchers are very specific that their problem is the most important and very special. And we need to serve all those. So one of the kind of success stories at the University of Oslo is available for the Data Science Center and anyone else in the world, is this platform as a service, which we call TSD, Services for Sensitive Data. And this is made especially for data which is somehow of a sensitive, so that either it's about reputation, financial worth, health information, privacy information. And we basically serve today 1,250 projects, more or less, and 6,500 users, and guaranteeing the security of the data and that we can separate the data. And sorry for the typo there. And then we provide the services that you would normally require again. We need to collect, share, analysis, and publication. And when I say publication, in this case, it's serving data from a research project back to the individual who donated that data for this type of research. And one of the killer things has been that we, another typo, we support smartphone applications so that we can act as a secure backend for smartphones, which is a really, really nice thing for data collection. And the most important thing thereafter is that we are kind of Schrems 2 safe, at least for users inside Europe. This is hosted fully by University of Oslo, and thus we do not have problems with US-owned cloud services. And then we have infrastructure as a service, which is based on OpenStack. It's available for anyone who has FEIDE logon. And if you are from University of Oslo, you can actually get your UIO-ified servers, meaning that they're fairly well hardened and monitored. And the nice thing is here is that you can yourself define which operating system and whatever as you have root on your machines. And unfortunately, it's only FEIDE today that provides you access, so only in Norwegian UH sector. And then we have a local HPC cluster for small problems, for students, for taking on the challenge. It's quite small. The name is Fox. It's about 3,500 cores. We have 12 of the newest NVIDIA A100 cards. And it's a quite cool thing that we have everything that's scratch. Also, the fastest working storage is on NVMe. And also this cluster here is accessible from anywhere when we are in full production. At the moment, we're piloting with about 10 users, and it's tightly connected to our educational cloud, which is my next slide. So basically, we saw there was a complete success with this TSD, the sensitive data service, but the straitjacket is too tight for regular data. So these days, we are announcing the EduCloud, or also known as Forskerplattformen in Norwegian, which basically mirrors TSD in all its services, but we have removed the straitjacket. And it's about Easter this year that we will launch, so very soon in time. And how do we do this? Because that was another take home. And basically, we do it by putting our heavyweight IT services at the bottom. We seldom change them. We rarely buy new. And then we put a layer of application programming interfaces and access control on top of those. And then we build services which are fairly independent of each other. They go through the APIs, and by that we can build new and interchange these services as long as the requirements of the APIs are kept. And this has given us an extremely fast development of our services. For instance, the new consent system that we made, which is heavily used by the Norwegian Corona-studien, was made in about 3 months. And that's a fully digital dynamic consent solution with a digital signature. So then one of the most fascinating ideas this year and the coming years is to provide our researchers with a platform to make data fair. And fair is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And we can all agree that we need some storage. And together with, I actually say together with IBM, because we're almost here in a strategical partnership, we use the Spectrum Discover system, which is an engine that is aware of the data on the storage, and you can query the data, and you can get you can run agents on the data which can feed you back information of the data which is on your storage, and then you can use that to build metadata, and you can serve any metadata structure. And then if we have data sets which is ready to become fair, we can move that metadata to an open website which is discoverable to the world and where people can get data. Time is running fast. I'll just briefly mention our ideas about the data factory. Kind of same system as on the last slide, but we need to ingest data from somewhere. We need to curate it, and then basically we go all the way around with the FAIR system, and the end users can use the same or other facilities to utilize the data. I need to mention the national resources as well. These are provided by Uninet Sigma 2, where UIO is one of the largest, or the largest user, and also one of the largest partner when it comes to providing the services. Uninet Sigma 2 serves quite a range of HPC systems to the Norwegian community, and also storage. And the web address is here, and it's available for all Norwegian researchers. And then we, through UIO and through the Uninet Sigma, we also are a member of quite a bit of international research infrastructure initiatives. And one of the most important in this setting is the Euro HPC Competence Center, which enables us to have people to help Norwegian research, but specifically industry with their HPC and AI problems. And a final remark on the new Finnish or European collaboration, but it's in Finland on a supercomputer called Lumi, which is extremely powerful. It will be operational by the end of the year, at least the first part of it, and you can get access through Uninet Sigma. It's mostly a GPU system, and the Norwegian pilot communities are already ready to go there. The final slide is on the competence part, and the total staff that I'm having control over is about 45 people, and 40% of those again have a PhD within various fields of science, which makes us able to talk at an understandable level with the researchers, and I think that's a key to the success. And our focus is mainly on the user needs, and then to do that in a flexible, scalable, and price performance wise manner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gard. Now we will. Arnoldo is clapping his hands. That's great. Now we have 2 more participants for the panel debate. Arnoldo Frigessi and Ingrid. So maybe we should first introduce our new guests. Ingrid, please, could you say a couple of words about yourself?
Thank you, Klaus. Hi, I'm Ingrid, and I am Associate Professor at the Department of Informatics, University of Oslo. A little bit personal side, my research background has been centered around reliability of safety critical systems. So I have been working on model-based analysis, IoT, autonomous system, both in academia and industry. And now I'm also looking at what that means in this context of AI and machine learning. Currently, I am the Deputy Director of the SIRIUS SFI, which you have heard about from Morten. It is a center for research-driven innovation located at the Department of Informatics. And the center conducts interdisciplinary research to enable digitalization in the industry. For example, you have heard about digital twin. And since January, I have the privilege to be the deputy head of department and head of research. And the department is very large. It has 1,800 undergraduate students and increasing in approximately 600 master students, 5 research sections, 80 research groups. And there are a lot of research, I believe, that will be relevant for dScience and NORA. So I'm very excited to see the development of dScience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. And Arnoldo, please.
Yes, Arnoldo Frigessi. I'm a professor in statistics. Statistics as an important piece of data science. I have started my life as a mathematician, and I regularly move towards data and statistics and applications, and with an attention and impact. It is interesting because this trajectory away from theorems to algorithms continues, and now maybe I stop to call me a statistician and could call me machine learner or even a artificial intelligence guy. And it's interesting because once upon a time I would have suffered of these new definitions. Now I think they're fine.
That's good to hear, Arnoldo. We are at the Norwegian Artificial Intelligence Research Consortium, so it's good that we are finally accepted as a term.
Yes. Why not?
So let's go to kind of the big question. Maybe we should ask Ingrid and Arnoldo first. And what's your expectation for the new dScience Center, and what's your kind of vision for the let's say what's important for data science of tomorrow? What will be important in the next years? Ingrid first, maybe.
Okay, thank you. Well, that is a big, large question, and I can say, okay, so one thing, our industry partner says, a machine learning code for training machine learning algorithm will typically represent only 5% of their overall AI system development, and the rest is, data collection, feature engineering, automation, monitoring, servicing infrastructure, and I think these are very, very important part of the entire machine learning pipeline, and I think Department of Informatics will, and together with dScience, NORA will be able to educate future students and understand, what are the methods and algorithms that needs to be developed to ensure, that we have a sustainable pipeline. So I think for education point of view, I think that would be very important for us. Secondly, I think for us, we are a big department and we have a lot of research groups doing many things. So for example, from bioinformatics, robotics, intelligence system, natural language processing was maybe mentioned earlier as well, and to technologies such as sensor technology enabling an IoT, and then we heard about digital twin and so on. And I think dScience will be all of these requires collection and building and maintaining a good data set. And that is very, very time consuming. It requires good collaboration between technical and domain expert. And I think I see dScience as a place where we can bring all these disciplines together, and we enable cross-pollination between industry, academia, and between the natural science disciplines. So this is what I envision that dScience will be, this hub.
Do you agree, Arnoldo?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Ingrid, I agree very much. It is interesting because you have, we have a common view, but you see also things from a slightly different point of view, which is important, which is complementary. Because I also think that one of the role, as Morten was saying before, is this of convergence, right? Of putting together the competitive advantages that we have at the University of Oslo, which is from a methodological side, right? Of statistics, mathematics, natural language processing, ontologies and search, and these are the engines, if you want, of what we're talking about, and converging these things will be important. And it means that we have to open ourselves and to play a game together. We haven't played that game so much together yet, and this means that we have to become players. And this is part of the culture that I think dScience has to work with. Culture is the second aspect. The third aspect is, I think that we will be able to speed up time to results, because in science, I mean, the departments of geology or pharmacy or all the health part that have enormous quantity of data and difficult problems, they require, without knowing it, methods that we can provide them or develop if they don't exist. And this will make it possible for them to reach results much faster. So speed up time to research. And then, as Ingrid was saying, the connection to the industry, to the public sector, we want to contribute to the renewal of the Norwegian economy, exploiting the knowledge that exists, that maybe even originates much from oil and gas and things like this, but away from oil and gas into other sectors. And innovation is also, as Ingrid was saying, and Morten, completely essential for training also. We cannot train we can train our students in mathematics or in medicine without talking to the pharmaceutical industry, but we cannot do it anymore when we talk about data science. We have to talk with the users when we think about training in data science.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you think, Morten? What Arnoldo says is basically also building a new and very ambitious culture of collaboration and cooperation. What do you think? Do you agree with Arnoldo's and Ingrid's views?
Yes, I do. And of course, very much is about building cultures at the university and in every company in the world, I believe. So this is something that we need to do. I'm coming from a dean's position, ahead of the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences. And what I see from my previous years at the Department of Computer Science or the Informatics department, there's one culture, and they have a bioscience one type of culture. And these cultures are valuable in itself, but bringing people together will create new situations. And that's why we put a lot of effort into this community services. So an important part of this is the community services. And as I said, 3 branches. One, these co-working areas where people can come and work together. The second is seminars and activities, which is normal across activities like this. And of course, the joint projects that is being launched as a part of the center. A dedicated, deep problem in mathematics will be at the math department, but a problem in mathematics addressing a medical problem will typically have a room in the dScience activity. So it's about building cultures for collaboration. One of the things that we has thought a lot about over the past years is speeding up research and innovation based on long-term research. And many colleagues around the world are thinking, how can we do that in a better way? And we have some ideas that we will try out in the next years in order to be more efficient in transporting the best results from basic research and research into society. And I think we need to do that. And that is one of the things that dScience will work on as well. Because we know that and here is, for example, NORA very important for us. That's why we are wanting to use a lot of time in NORA and be an important contributor to the NORA network, because you will both with respect to collaboration with other universities and other research groups outside the University of Oslo, but also towards industry and public sector. So I totally agree. I think one of the things that we need to do, and that will start when the pandemic is over, we will meet again in another way that we do now, but however, still through webinars, but the physical meeting places will be very, very important to do this. And that's why the University of Oslo is also investing in these co-working spaces, as I mentioned in my presentation. And the first one will be opened, hopefully in April, May.
So culture and meeting places are important, but of course data are essential, Gard. And we already had the questions. We have several questions now in the Q&A here, so I will try to keep track of them. But there were also questions about what fraction of your current data meets principles of fair. And also from me, you will now, if I understood you correctly, put data out and freely available then for download through your to your servers.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as the licensing and privacy, etc., allows that, that's the goal. But as I answered in the chat here, that today this is done mostly in very science topic specific archives outside of the control of University of Oslo, and that's totally fine. But we want to fill the gap so that there is something for everyone, where this service is lacking on the outside. When it comes to my expectations, I totally agree with the previous speakers, but for us in the IT department, this is also a boost for getting into bigger trouble, I would say. And because my people, they feed on interesting challenges, and we hope that this can boost more interesting challenges, because then we can get even more competence, and it's easier to get competent people to be willing to work on our side of providing these services.
Also a question from an attendee about how you would compare this to other universities in Europe. Morten, this is maybe to Morten then. Is there a comparison available? And maybe you also could say something about Oslo Science City, because this will also be an important part of Oslo Science City.
Yeah, the dScience can be compared with a lot of things. We, for example, since 2003, we have had Center for Material Technology, Material Sciences and Nanotechnology across departments. It's more narrow. If you go to the University of Edinburgh, you see a data science center like organized across faculties and departments. If you go to Imperial College, you see various versions of such things. I have not found anything that is similar to dScience and exactly the same, because we have had discussions over how can we do this at the University of Oslo, because we had to adapt to our culture and we have to find our ambition. But there are similar constructions around the world, but everyone is somewhat different to what dScience is supposed to be. So we have learned a lot, and I mentioned the Guild network of research intensive universities, and one of the things that we are going to discuss there is how can we learn from each other when it comes to organizing research across disciplines and interdisciplinary disciplines in the AI domain. So I was appointed to this committee. We will start the work in May in order to look at how can these 21 universities make a difference when it comes to AI research in Europe. And one of the things that we will work on is to increase our knowledge about each other and how we organize these types of results. The most concrete part of it is University of Edinburgh, as I know. And but do you also have you have a construction, for example, in Uppsala, that is cross. You have constructions. I'm chairman of the board of the Swedish eScience Research Center, SIRC, in Stockholm, and that's also a center. It's not the same, but it has similarities to dScience. So, for example, when we're constructing dScience, we have learned a lot how they constructed SIRC across Karolinska, KTH, Stockholm University, Uppsala, and Linköping in Sweden. But that is across universities, but there are similarities around the world. So that's my answer to that question. You also mentioned the Oslo Science City. Of course, this construction is important for Oslo Science City because we covers very important topics in the area of digitalization. So what we will do there is to create so these co-working spaces will of course be within the district and a part of Oslo Science City. What Oslo Science City will be, that we will know in a few months or in a few years, because you have these possibility studies going on. But we are quite active in shaping Oslo Science City, and it's necessary to be active since data science and computational science is so important in many applied aspects.
Can I add on a couple of thoughts about the competitive advantage, Claes?
Absolutely, and that was you started about the competitive advantage,
just to follow up on Morten a bit.
Yeah,
I think so. We compete. So first of all, it's an international competition here. When we speak about competitive advantage, we look internationally because we want to recruit the best people. We want to have the best data. We want to have the best problems. So the three advantages that I think we have in Oslo is, one is, as I mentioned, methodology. So we are methodologically strong. I mean, we have a statistics environment. It is among the best in Europe. We have a mathematics environment with computational mathematics, which is among the best in Europe. We have a natural language processing, which have a search and ontologies and logic and computer science. I mean, the methodological component is top, and with some really peaks. Then we have a history of collaborations that has given strong results. So we can put on the table that our work in machine learning, in statistics, in computational mathematics has given fantastic results in cancer research, astronomy, geology, pharmacy, and so on, right? So these are scientific results. But on the other side, we can show to products that come out from our methodological pipelines, right? Hydro, DNB, ABB, DNVGL, and so on. These companies are running algorithms for some of their activities that come out from the University of Oslo. And these products, again, show the quality of our work. And the third computational competitive advantage is the culture that we have. Maybe the Scandinavian culture, or maybe the Oslo culture, I don't know. But this is a culture which is including people, that sees people. It's a flat hierarchy, is high appreciation of diversity, and in an environment that is highly man-dominated, we have to show that our way of doing data science is the place for many diverse thoughts and diverse people. And I think we do it. So these are important competitive advantages.
Great points, Arnoldo. Ingrid, do you want to elaborate on competitive advantages both for the university and dScience and also for Norway, maybe?
Well, I think Arnoldo covered it quite wide and very well. So I think I agree with him. We do have a very unique way of working together, and I think that goes to how do we leverage that in dScience? How do we attract people from outside, and they want to be part of us? And this is something I think is important to expand our network and allow more collaboration, welcome people to join. So I completely agree that we are doing very well internationally, and we would like other people to join us as well.
I will turn to a question from Hans Eide about Euro HPC, the amount of HPC, AI, ML resources that Norwegian researchers, public services, and industry potentially can have access to through our participation in Euro HPC is enormous. How do you see dScience role in enabling this, Morten?
Yeah, this is an important thing for us, because what we said when we asked for, we have this machine learning program, which we launched a couple of months ago, and we have positions, PhD positions right now, and postdoc positions, and we explicitly ask for data and computational intensive problems. And from the 8 first positions that is now out, I can see 3 candidates, that is 3 projects that is candidates for the LUMI machinery in Finland. One is in natural language processing. The project at the physics department as machine learning in nuclear astrophysics is a very, very heavy problem. And in order to solve that, the machineries we have in Norway is by far too small. So we look forward to see what is going to happen around that. And we also have a portion of additional new projects that addresses computationally very heavy. So we hope that we will come up with new challenges that needs these machineries, in particular, for example, of course, for the learning process in the machine learning part of it. You can find it also machine learning in sensor network type of challenges, where you use the largest computers in the training process in order to really speed up real-time detection of, for example, anomalies, as Arnoldo mentioned. So the answer is yes. We hope that we can come up with challenges, scientific challenges that really needs these, where we can use these huge investments in computer power that is now being set up, for example, in Finland, and the LUMI machinery.
Guys, also we're talking about the different levels, local level and national level, and also the LUMI level. But can you elaborate maybe, Gard, on Euro HPC and how you see both your infrastructure and maybe also Norwegian infrastructure with respect to Euro HPC?
I'm not 100% sure that I'm the correct person for that one, but what I can say is that in the bigger setting, Norway, of course, is a minor player, but we have made a significant effort into the LUMI machine, which is very, very good, and which gives an enormous possibility to Norwegian researchers. And then the fact that Norway through the NetSigma is involved in all these settings, and also the Euro HPC Competence Center enables us to utilize European resources, and also to build competence based on these networks within Norway to serve the research community and maybe more the industry when it comes to Euro HPC setting. And it's clear that Europe puts in loads of efforts into this to kind of at least get level with China and US when it comes to producing chips and doing this. And what's behind this is AI, autonomous cars, industry, whatever comes in that line. So it's extremely important to follow these processes, and that's done quite good.
But Gard, I want to say that you don't only follow these processes. In my career here in the University of Oslo, several times, I suddenly thought that now I need that computational thing, and then I come to USIT and it is already there. So I think that you have been very good always in guessing and advancing the technology in front. So we have not been waiting for things from your side; they were ready. So I think you should continue like that.
Thank you. We try at least.
With respect to that, Gard, I find intensive sensitive data is also an important tool for many scientists, and also, could you elaborate and say a little bit more on your services? You talked about it in your presentation, but how do you envision intensive sensitive data, and especially, I mean, maybe also if you look at health data and so on, this is said to be one of Norway's strengths, a gold mine in Norway, a lot of health data. How central is for sensitive data for dScience?
I would say for everything that should involve personal identifiers or data with companies that's of economical importance, that's a to be or not to be for those research projects, because all these projects are larger than your laptop and desktop, and then you need to go somewhere. And today there aren't that many possibilities in Norway or in the world. And back in 2010, 2012, when USIT saw this need together with researchers at UIO and Sigma 2, we thought that the demand was like this big, maybe 100 projects on a long term. Now we're at more than 1,200 projects, and we're doing all kinds of stuff. It's tax report research, it's collecting data from Internet of Things. We had one in the chat here, having the largest data set on heart data, probably largest data set in the world, and so on for research. So it's basically up to the imagination of what we can do, because we have this secure basic layer where people and communities trust that the data are here, and we have the tools to use the data, and it's available for everyone.
As we discussed, Arnoldo, you told me before the discussion, Arnoldo, that you were going to be quite silent today. But Arnoldo, please.
No, I just want to provoke Gard a bit, because this TSD, which we love, on the other hand, makes it so that we don't train to go up in the cloud and play on the cloud. And not doing things on the cloud is a problem for us in terms of competition, because that's where everybody else is playing. And if we're not there, we are losing lots of possibilities. So Gard, TSD is a problem, not only an advantage.
I guess it's not TSD stopping you to go into the cloud. That's the jurisdiction and the law. And I would be the first one to say that please, Arnoldo, go into the cloud to Amazon or Google if it's allowed. But at the moment, that's extremely hard with the Schrems too. So I agree. And at University of Oslo, we have agreements with Microsoft and Google and these guys, but at the moment, it's extremely hard to consume that data. I can mention, for instance, that we're computing CERN data on the Oracle Cloud, but those data are not important to anything except for finding particles. So I agree with you, and that's the problem of the straitjacket, that the security and the GDPR, and I'm sorry, I'm not responsible for GDPR.
Morten, yes.
One of the things I will ask the participants is that we are having a lot of hard scientific challenges where machine learning, data science is needed. One of the things we are interested in is to get hard problems that industry and public sector are interested in. How can we get that? They say we need that and we want it. And I think that is one of the things we will work on in the future. How can we address really hard problem that is not necessarily coming from a scientific problem, but are addressed by society in general and companies in particular when it comes to data science. And of course, the two most important branches of dScience is machine learning, computational machine learning, and also how we can represent data in a proper way, where we have the digital twin idea coming from the SIRIUS Center that we will work on for the next years. And also it's important for us to say that we started the center 2.5 months ago. I think we have got quite far, but that was based on good planning beforehand. We are going to use this year and next year for consolidating dScience into a new situation, and we have huge ambitions for the next 5 years with respect to research and also collaboration with the society in general. And as I mentioned, we will also join up clearly with European partners in order to address also support from the European Commission.
Actually, unfortunately, it's now it's about 3 o'clock, so we will have to end soon. But I saw Ingrid, you can get a word, and then Morten, after that, you can get a final word to say something about how to build this culture that you're building. And please also, Morten, think about how could NORA contribute into dScience. So you can think about that while Ingrid. Yes, please, Ingrid, you had your hand in the air.
Thank you. Yes, I was listening. I was thinking maybe this is also complementary to what Morten is saying, and also what Arnoldo is saying. Your question is what I think the university, and I think in general, us doing research in artificial intelligence should be thinking about is that AI is not objective math, right? So the biases of the people generating the data, creating the algorithm, deploying it can be implicitly injected into the system we're building. And you know, so I think it's important, and there are no best practices yet. And I think the dScience Center can be a place to shape the frontier, how we can contribute to best practices so that we can develop artificial intelligence responsibly. So this, I think, is the responsibility for all of us. And to really thinking about the trustworthiness of the system that we're building, the method, the algorithm, whatnot, before developing, deploying, and recommending such systems. So I think this is in line with our European value or Norwegian value as well. So yes,
absolutely.
I encourage everybody to think about it.
Yeah, this is important, and also a huge focus in NORA and the NORA Consortium as a whole. Morten, please, some final words, and please also, how could NORA contribute?
Yeah, final words. Someone said culture eats strategy for breakfast. The reason why we are putting a lot of effort into these community services is to create a culture where people can collaborate across scientific disciplines, across sectors, and that's one of the ideas. And we can't create a culture without the people, so it's the people there who actually creates the culture that we are going to work on. So we are going, so our work and dScience is to facilitate that. NORA, as I said, is important. NORA can contribute in many ways. With interesting seminars. We want to have seminars together with NORA as we have today, but more dedicated towards the science we do, create collaboration with partners in Norway. NORA is also responsible for it's a Norwegian node in the huge CLARE network, which is also important for dScience. So as a network where we can easily come in contact with partners in Norway and abroad is one thing that NORA can help us with. And we can, and you have organize seminars like this is another thing. And I think from time to time, maybe quite often, we want to create that what we call landslag on certain topics. You can also be an instrument for doing that. How we can, for example, create based on groups across institutions, research groups across institutions to apply for EU funding or other types of funding to solve particular problems that we cannot solve alone. Because one thing, although University of Oslo is a large university, we are not experts on everything, and we will not be experts on everything. However, one of the main things we want to do is we want to be very good on some selected areas, and that is important to say. So NORA, we will also feedback into NORA, and hopefully we will also be a huge contributor to the NORA network in the future. So I think that is a mutual interest between dScience and NORA. It's large, so that's and a lot has happened in NORA already, and I'm looking forward to what is going to happen in NORA in the years to come.
Me too, and looking forward both to what's going to happen in NORA, but also dScience. So thank you very much to all of you, and to the attendees. I'm sorry we had several, quite many actually, questions that we didn't answer, but we will save them and I will send them out, and maybe you will receive an answer. So thank you to Morten, Gard, Arnoldo, and Ingrid, and yes.
And thank you to you, Glass, for organizing this.
Thank you very much. Actually, today the discussion was so interesting, so it's now 3:07, so we went over time, but I think it was worth it, and maybe some of you will also stay here after the panel debate now to have us to answer some questions. Cool. But we'll round off now. Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.